I want you to just soak this in for a moment. You know, just sit back, look at it, and just observe the sheer amount of information that is packed on this one image. Because I once knew a person who told me that they seriously questioned going to dental school once they had to start learning the trigeminal nerve. And so to be clear, this is not even the trigeminal nerve. This is, yes, the trigeminal nerve is on here. This is more so just one branch of it called the mandibular nerve. And that's what we're going to be going over today. This is one branch of the trigeminal nerve. And so I completely understand where they're coming from. Our goal today is not really to go over every single one of these terms, although we are going to go over a good amount of them. It's more so to just kind of like help you understand and tackle this nerve here to just get a better understanding of what's going on with it. Because the mandibular division, that mandibular branch, is really kind of unique among the branches of the trigeminal nerve. And so to do this, we're going to be using one of Ken Hub's 100% free articles. We've gone ahead and left a link down the description below. You're welcome to navigate down there, click on it. You can follow along and just see how amazing these images are for yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on this magnifying glass, and it's going to enlarge it pretty heavily. And that's going to give us a really good view of what we're looking at here, because there are some really small structures here, right? We're talking about tiny little branches and offshoots, not just of the nerves, like you can even see like blood vessels that are going to be located in this area. So what I want to do first is just orient you. That is always the best way to go about this when you're just kind of like trying to figure out what's happening, is just go, okay, where am I? And so basically what has happened in this image is we've cut a window through the temporal bone, which is going to be this bone on the side of your head. It's like this right here is called the external acoustic meatus. This is where the ear would be. So think of like this floppy cartilaginous structure on the outside would be just above this. And then we've also cut a window in through the zygomatic bone and a bit of the mandible. So it's basically kind of like you just like grab the cheek here and just went, took that off. And then we cut a hole in the side of the skull in order to see internally. And that's going to give us a really good understanding of the landscape of the trigeminal nerve. Now, the next thing I want us to focus on is what we're seeing here. So this is part of the nervous system. You can even see the pituitary gland as it's sitting right here. There's just part of the endocrine system. But we can see more of the nervous system right behind it. But if you see this yellow thing here, this is going to be the trigeminal nerve, or specifically like this right here is what we would call the sensory root of the trigeminal nerve. And then if you look really closely, you're going to see like this thin green line underneath there. That's the motor root of the trigeminal nerve. And that trigeminal nerve, those are actually going to like blend together, and they're going to go through this tiny little hole here called the foramen ovale. And again, I don't want you to get too bogged down in all of the terms and let that kind of like overwhelm you. It's more so to just understand the trigeminal nerve is typically known as like the great sensory nerve of the face, which is true. Most of the information it carries is sensory information. However, it is a mixed nerve. Mixed nerves means that they carry both sensory and motor information, right? Motor being movement-based, going to muscles, telling them to contract. Sensory information is gathering. And so the trigeminal nerve is a mixed nerve, and we're going to be focusing on one of three branches of the trigeminal nerve that is also a mixed nerve. Right, our focus today is going to be on this right here. So we can see, again, here's that sensory root. You can see that motor root underneath, and then you can see that it's going through this foramen ovale. This right here is called the mandibular nerve. And that is the focus of today's video. But I want to show you a few other things, because there's also like this bigger expanded portion. This is the trigeminal ganglion. A ganglion is just kind of like it's a gang of nerve cells, basically. Like they call it a ganglion for a reason. But this is where you're going to have a whole bunch of sensory information going through. But then if you look through here, you're also going to see two additional offshoots. So this one right here, it's kind of small, is called the ophthalmic nerve. And then this one right here is the maxillary nerve. And both of these are purely sensory nerves. So that's a lot, right? There's a lot of sensory information coming through here. And then we're going to see there's also sensory information coming through the mandibular nerve. However, we also have outgoing motor information that is going to be telling certain muscles to contract, say like the medial pterygoid muscle, for example. So this is kind of like the oddball among the three nerves in the fact that it's a mixed nerve, but it's also what makes it so the trigeminal nerve itself can be a mixed nerve. So basically what we have here is this branching off of the brain, and then what it's going to do is having to exit that cranial vault, that neurocranium, right, inside of the skull. And what it does is it penetrates through the bone of the skull, and then it's just going to start branching like crazy. And the thing is, if you were to look through this list here of like all of these different branches, you know, anatomists more often than not are pretty lazy. It's great news for you as a student, because it's like, I often like to imagine anatomists just sitting there, early anatomists, just like, what do we name this thing? You know, just in a moment of exasperation, just like, where's it going? It's going to the temporalis. All right, this is the anterior temporal nerve. You know, they're just basically just saying things based off of its location. I don't think that's how it went down. That's just the way it makes me happy as the way I think about it in my head. So we're going to just see a whole bunch of branching that is going to happen. And I just kind of want to, like, before I even start name dropping, I just want to show you where this is going to a large extent, right? So because once it comes out of here, we're going to have, say, like, there's like this little offshoot right here. I will name drop here. This is the meningeal branch, right? So the meningeal nerve, this is going to actually go right back into the skull. I love this. It's like, I left and I'm going right back in. It goes in through this tiny little hole called the foramen spinosum, and it's going to go and innervate the meninges, specifically one layer of the meninges in this local area called the dura mater. So the dura mater is going to be like this tough outer wrapping for the nervous system, and it goes all over, right? It's not just the brain, it goes down the spinal cord. Now, it is not going to innervate the entire dura mater. It's going to be localized more to this region around here, but I love it. Like, it's just, never mind, going right back in. Going right back in. But so we're gonna have, you can see all these branches. We have branches going to muscles. That's all you see here, like the buccinator. You have like lateral pterygoid. So you can see it's cut. So this right here is the lateral pterygoid muscle that has been cut. Both of these right here. You can see down here we even have a muscle called digastricus. There's another muscle behind it called mylohyoid. This one right here, the buccinator or buccinator, depends on how fancy you're feeling. You can even see the tongue inside of here. That's what we're trying to show you. And then you can even see the two of the salivary glands. This one is called the submandibular salivary gland, and this one, which is underneath the tongue, is called the sublingual. All right, so the sublingual. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you start looking through these terms, you're going to start seeing things that make sense, right? So like, let's see if I can find it. Aha, see, you see this term right here? Nerve to lateral pterygoid muscle. And then we follow it, and guess what? It's going to the lateral pterygoid. All right, there's a nerve to the medial pterygoid. We're talking about the sublingual nerve. Where do you think the sublingual nerve is going to be going? It's going to be going underneath the tongue. Right? When you start actually breaking down the vast majority of these nerves, you're going to see that makes a whole lot of sense where these things are going. Now, there are some unintuitive ones, but I think at the same time, for the vast majority of these, they are going to be named really, intuitively, and that is intentional. So the other thing I want you to understand is that there is an anterior and posterior division to this nerve. So, and it can be a little hard to see, but like so again, we have that mandibular nerve going through the foramen ovale. And then what's going to happen is it splits into that meningeal branch, and then it's going to split into the nerve to the medial pterygoid, which the medial pterygoid muscle is all of this back here, right? That's all medial pterygoid. Medial pterygoid helps to kind of like elevate the mandible. It can even protrude the mandible a little bit. But then that is all pre-divisional branching. So we can see this. There's a little black dot. There's these two black dots here. All right, so this black dot right here, this is what's called the posterior division. And then there is an anterior division. So we are just going to start splitting. And then from there, it's just split, 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 split. And it's just going to start going all over the place. Right, we're going to go to the tongue. We're going to go to the salivary glands. We're going to go to muscles. We're going to go to the skin of the face. Right, the buccal nerve, for example, like this one right here, this is going to be innervating like the skin and all the soft tissue of your cheek, and deep to that is going to be the buccinator muscle. Now, the buccinator muscle is going to be actually innervated by the facial nerve, but still, we can clearly see that we're going into that region, and so that's basically what's happening. It's just starting to split and split and split, and the other thing to understand too is where, and to kind of like loop it back as to why, you know, my friend was talking and having a panic attack when they were in dental school about this this particular nerve, is because when you start looking at some of these, right, you can see like the mental nerve, you can see the lingual branches of the lingual nerve. There's even something in here that's not actually, I don't think it's labeled in this image, called the dental plexus. There's all these nerves that dentists can actually be needing to anesthetize, depending on, or even like orthodontists, like just depending on, you know, what they're trying or needing to do. And so it's a really important area clinically, just from dental and oral health. And so just kind of going to this entire region. Yeah, then you have like this one right here. Look at this one. It takes like this swoop. This is called the auriculotemporal nerve, which is, to no surprise, going to be going towards that temporalis. So there are a lot of branches here. And again, I'm not going to go into every single one of them. And that's because, for one, we actually have a video that does that all for you, right? If I actually go up to the top here, and this is a premium feature, right? So this is something that would be part of the KenHub Premium subscription. But this video is one of my favorite videos that we have here, because it just, it goes into so much depth and breaks down every single nerve in a lot of great detail. So that is one reason. But again, the other thing is just because we have these articles, and I also want you to understand that one of the best ways to learn your anatomy is to try and just orient yourself and start to try to make sense of things before you start memorizing. In fact, I think memorizing is one of the absolute worst ways to remember this information. Instead, you want to make sense of it. You want to be able to logically derive things. You want to be like, oh, this one splits here, therefore it must do this. I think that is a really great place to kind of wrap your head around. But I really do strongly encourage all of you to check out the premium subscription, because then you can actually see how amazing these are. In fact, I'm going to go ahead. Let's click on this just real quick. I'm going to actually mute this. You can see just how amazing this goes into. Like, we can actually highlight each and every single nerve, and then it's going to actually talk about where does it go, what does it do, what can, everything and anything you can possibly imagine. All of that is going to just be right here. Again, this is going to be embedded at the top of the article. This is a free article, but still, I just wanted to bring your awareness to this. But anyways, I hope this helped. I hope that you feel like you have a better grasp around the mandibular nerve than you did before. Now, if I really love it if you could just go hit the like button. Little things like that go a really long way. So be sure to do that if you feel this video was helpful. Also, while you're down there, leave us a comment. Let us know exactly, what you thought of the video, what you'd like us to cover in future videos. Anything and everything is up for grabs. So we appreciate hearing all of your feedback. But thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit, and I will see you in the next video.